So I don't think Wes Craven directed the Freddy rap there that you just saw. Welcome to Landmarks Nuart Theater. I hope you're up to stay up very late for us tonight, because we're here for Wes Craven's New Nightmare on 35 millimeter with some special guests. Now, before we get the show started, we have a long show for you tonight. I'm just going to tell you flat out, before we start, just in case this is a problem for anybody, Heather Langenkamp could not make it tonight. We're pretty devastated by this. However, I do want to kind of tell you, give you a little background on what has happened. Heather is located in Malibu, in a very terribly fire-stricken area. Her house survived, but she has been living without power all week, and yet she was very committed to being here tonight. She's helped us advertise this show. She really wanted to be here, and up until tonight, she was doing her best to get here. Her neighborhood, they are not allowing people in and out at this point. She literally is still trapped in Malibu. That is the only reason she is not here tonight. So I'm very sorry about that. We do have three other great special guests, though. We have some great giveaways, a really great show for you tonight. If that is a problem for you, we can offer you a refund right now, but I do hope you will stick around. We will talk with Heather and see if we can get the original Elm Street in here early next year and maybe get her back for that as well. But we're committed to having Heather join us and keeping the Wes Craven films coming here at the Nuart. First of all, let me tell you, this film is co-presented tonight by Shriekfest Horror Film Festival. Woo! A few words about Shriekfest. Shriekfest just finished its 18th year in Los Angeles and its 2nd year in Orlando, Florida. The longest running horror film festival in Los Angeles. Apparently it's going to be older now than the LA Film Festival, which is folding up after 18 years. So Shriekfest just keeps getting better every year. It happens the first week of October in LA. So we have a long time before the next Shriekfest. However, the call for entries, the early bird entries, has just opened. If you are the future of horror, making new horror films, shorts, features, or screenplays, check out Shriekfest. They present only the best over at Raleigh Studios every year. And we're going to keep bringing these Shriekfest Present shows to you here at the Nuart throughout the year. So please stick with us. Come back out for Shriekfest. We will be here first. Screening of 2019 will be the original Alien on January 11th, 40th anniversary. So please come back for Alien. Tickets are already on sale for that one. Okay, a few Nuart announcements before we start the show. In the event of a fire emergency or Freddy invasion, please be aware of the emergency exits beside me on the right and left. You can also use the exits you enter the theater through. The concession stand will be open throughout this Q&A. When the movie starts, though, they will be closing up for the night, so make sure you get your munchies and your coffee before the movie starts. Also, if you parked in the paid parking lot that's on Idaho, the side street, the one that says they ticket at 2 a.m., they do ticket at 2 a.m. So please just make sure you move your car before then. This show will go past 2 a.m. Now, one thing we like to pardon me, we do is trivia before these shows. We have some great trivia and gifts for you tonight. If you follow the event page, you have a chance to win these prizes, because we put a lot of the answers up there first. And I'm going to tell you right now mostly what we have for you. So raise your hand if you know these answers, and I'll do my best to get to the first. We have the Wes Craven's New Nightmare shooting script as a prize tonight. This is a copy of the one that's used in the movie. It's got a copy of Wes Craven's handwritten message to Heather Langenkamp on the cover, reading, "Heather, thanks for having the guts to play Nancy one last time. Wow. At last, Freddy's back where he belongs. Regards, Wes." We have a few of these to give out to you guys tonight. So first question, who wrote the Wes Craven's New Nightmare novelization? The New Nightmare film novelization. Anybody? Okay, that's David Bergantino. I do recommend you check out that novelization. It's kind of written like the film itself. The author is a character in the novel, writing about the nightmares that he has when he's writing about the movie. So check that out. Okay, Roger Ebert. He wasn't a big fan of horror films, but he did like Wes Craven's New Nightmare. How many stars did Roger Ebert give the New Nightmare? I saw the hand in the center here.
3.
3 is correct. He gave Wes Craven's New Nightmare, 3 stars. Please come up.
Yeah.
Please enjoy the shooting script for New Nightmare. Yeah, Roger Ebert, he was he never was too big of a fan of Wes. He did give Wes a few other 3-star reviews, like Scream and Scream 2.
Last House.
Which one?
Last House.
Last House on the Left?
Last House on the Left.
So he did like a few Wes films. He wasn't a big fan of the original. Who knows how many stars Roger Ebert gave the original?
Right.
I saw that hand right there.
1 star.
1 star is correct. Please come up. 1 star. What do we know? For you, we have a couple prizes. We have the Wes Craven's New Nightmare shooting script, written by Wes Craven. Please read it religiously. And because of the date, because it's less than a week from Thanksgiving, we have the horror novel for you, Turkey Day, which is written by me, I'll admit. I wrote this one. It's a holiday horror novel. And I do want to mention, one of the editors on that is one of our special guests tonight, Fenner, who was also an editor on Wes Craven's one novel, The Fountain Society. If you haven't read that, read it. It's a lot of fun. It's more of an adventure novel, but it's Wes Craven. You're going to see his genius on every page. Okay, we have one more question and another really, really cool prize. So Wes Craven's New Nightmare used the cinematographer. It was his first feature for Wes Craven, Mark Irwin, who a lot of us know also did a lot of the early Cronenberg films, like from Fast Company through The Fly. He shot all those Cronenberg films. And then he became part of the Craven family with New Nightmare. Actually, he started before that with Nightmare Cafe. He was a cinematographer on it. But he also shot 2 other features following New Nightmare. Who can tell me what one of those features was? I saw... Okay, I saw that one right there.
Vampire in Brooklyn?
Wes Craven's Vampire in Brooklyn is correct. That is one of the 2 that he did. So please come up. He also shot Wes Craven's Scream. All right, so we have a couple prizes for you. We have the screenplay, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and we have the original Nightmare on Elm Street, starring Heather Langenkamp, on VHS. Please enjoy. And I'll give a few thank yous. I want to thank Daniel at Copy Depot, who does all of our script printing. We give out a lot of screenplays at these events, especially Shriekfest Presents, because it's a festival that also honors screenplays. Copy Depot's right around the corner. They're our friends. Please go to them if you need things printed. And if you do come to Alien, we will have the shooting script as a prize for Alien. All right, so now let's start our Q&A. I want to invite 3 guests up here tonight. Again, we are sorry about Heather. We will try and get her back. But tonight I would like to introduce the producer of Wes Craven's New Nightmare, who also joined us last year for The People Under the Stairs, Marianne Maddalena. I'd like to introduce the associate producer of New Nightmare, Fenner. And I would like to introduce the composer of Wes Craven's New Nightmare, J. Peter Robinson.
This was the brew jacket, by the way.
Check out this jacket. This is incredible. It says Nightmare 7 on the front.
Which is what we knew it as. It was named Wes Craven's New Nightmare very late in the game.
All right, so I'm going to start with I'll start with you, Marianne, with a few questions for you. So it's been reported that Wes Craven went into New Nightmare with a constantly evolving screenplay, which changed a lot due to his dreams or nightmares. And it was reported that he would often change things day of shoot. Now, if this is true, I would imagine this would be very difficult for a producer whose job it is to keep things in order and pre-planned. Was the script, in fact, evolved that way throughout the shooting, and was that a problem?
Welcome to my nightmare. It's always, directors just, they don't obey the rules. So he would always come up with things. And my job was to be the adult, because what Wes would try to do is make you the bad parent. So I would say, okay, so we only only have this, 12 hours. So what would you like to do with these 12 hours? Trying to get him to accept responsibility for all the changes he would come in and say, you're the producer, just give me more time. So it was hard. He was a challenge. But yeah, but he was since he was the writer, he was pretty good. There was a scene that we discussed today, Jeff, that we didn't shoot. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think you remember it better than I do.
Well, we had a scene with, he and Bruce Wagner wrote a scene where
to try and stay awake, they
cut their eyelids off. Did you know that one?
Oh.
Yeah. They were traveling on a van with no
Was it
eyelids.
him? Was it Wes's character? That's what I'm trying to remember. I think it was too.
Yeah, I think Bruce Wagner though also was.
We fought against that one.
Yeah, we fought, which I wish we hadn't.
Well, I mean, I was big on keeping it, like, you can't have him cut his eyelids off because he didn't cut his eyelids off. Sort of like trying to walk the line between it could really be.
Well, Jeff and I were talking today about some ideas that Wes had that maybe we censored, that now we wish we'd seen film, right? Like yeah.
Well, every once in a while, you think he's going way too far, and it's hard to picture exactly what the tone's going to be when done. And then there was something at People Under the Stairs that we insisted he take out, and then Everett McGill was like, that was my favorite part, I really wanted to do it.
What was it?
It was him marking his territory by urinating all over the house.
Oh, I would have loved to have seen that. So,
it would have really worked once you see how the movie plays, but when it was just in script form, it was like, what?
Don't censor your director.
Well, he always had transgressive ideas for his films. So left unchecked, he would definitely go down those uncomfortable avenues. In a lengthy on-set report in Fangoria issue number 137, Wes Craven claimed New Nightmare was a really hairy shoot, in saying, and I quote, "The cast and crew have been rather freaked and nervous. People have been having unexplained nightmares, and more than one person has expressed the fear that maybe we're dealing with something that we shouldn't be dealing with." Was that the experience for you as well on this film?
Well, that was the experience on all Wes's movies. It started with Serpent the Rainbow, Bill Pullman. Like everybody was freaking out in Serpent the Rainbow because, people were possessed and it was a crazy experience. And Bill Pullman had a dream where, he was freaking out and there were like boxes on his ears and he literally couldn't shoot for a few days because of nightmares. I mean, so it happened on all of Wes's movies. That's what happened.
How about you, Jeffrey? Did you get that feeling that he was talking about, or was this more just hype he was giving Fangoria?
Well, it's a little bit of both, let's be honest. But the town, the whole city was, cooperated. I mean, the idea that Los Angeles is in chaos because Freddy's coming back, it really happened. I mean, the Northridge quake hit during production while we were shooting, and the Malibu fires were right before. In fact, it threatened Heather's then, and that was the last time Malibu really burned.
Yeah, we have footage
in like 93.
Right.
And the LA riots were the year before, so we have a lot of footage of the city, in trouble. And, it had been written into the script already, so there was this sense that we had already staged the earthquake and then the big one hit while we were on, so we got better footage of things in ruins, But
Peter, what about you? Do you remember any of those nightmares?
I always have nightmares.
Deadline nightmares?
I have the nightmares.
So Jeffrey, I wanted to ask you, along with your producing duties on this film, you were a story editor, kind of from an early stage, with Wes developing the screenplay. So even though the film wasn't, the screenplay changed as they were filming it, things also changed a lot prior to that point. And you were there, I believe, going through a lot of the early drafts with Wes. Were there anything you can remember from that earliest stage of the script coming out that you recall that changed prior to this film? And if not that, things that came during the reshoot reshoots? Because there was a short reshoot
Yeah.
period on this film.
Well, the main thing is he was really making it up. It was a very inspired conceit that kept evolving as he was writing it, and he wrote it very fast. I mean, we had kind of like a green light off the bat. I mean, Bob just really wanted Wes to do another nightmare movie. And there was a much bigger role for the babysitter. I mean, there was this whole plot where she was Freddy, like she was the stalker going after Heather, and I mean, we kind of ditched a lot of that as it became more and more this real entity, but there was this whole hand that rocks the cradle element that kind of went. He was just really writing from dreams, from inspiration, trying to figure out how it would work, and writing.
He was really into lucid dreaming. He took a course in it about while you're sleeping and you're dreaming that you take control and you direct your dreams. So he was very active in that.
Yeah, I think from that whole decade, from the original through New Nightmare, that dream theme and imagery really goes through everything, even Deadly Friend and Serpent and the Rainbow, and his television movie Night Visions seems very Elm Street inspired, and Nightmare Cafe, ending with pretty much Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And then it seems like he went in a different direction after that, but really he was pretty dream obsessed in that decade.
And a lot of the direction he went came from other writers. I mean, Scream was such a success, but he didn't originate Scream.
Right.
When he writes from his own inspiration, it's very dream-based.
Yeah. So, J. Peter, I would like to ask you, New Nightmare was your first feature with Wes, but I believe you had worked with him prior on Nightmare Cafe. But after New Nightmare, you also came back for Vampire in Brooklyn, and then a few Craven-produced films like Mind Ripper and Don't Look Down. So for close to a decade, you kind of had a lot of time in the Craven camp, and I'm just curious how that was for you in that period.
Nightmare Cafe was actually originally directed by Philip Noyce, who I worked on a film called Blind Fury. And he went on subsequently to do Clear and Present Danger and many other great movies. And then and the reason that I worked with Wes for the first time was because Philip Noyce went off to do Clear and Present Danger. And that's where I met Marianne, and we started this relationship that went on for many years. I think Philip had a very different idea about how the Nightmare Cafe should go, and Wes came and said, "Forget all that. Here's how it's really going to go." And I really liked. It was very minimal. Philip was very, it's going to be like this, it's going to be like this, it's going to be this. Wes just going, you know what to do. And I really like that. And so, yeah, we got on super well. I did you remember Laurel Canyon? Remember Laurel Canyon?
Right, yeah.
That was a pilot that was very creepy. That unfortunately never came to.
Well, Tim Hunter directed it, and it was, the lead was Annabeth Gish, and it had Dee Dee Pfeiffer, who's Michelle Pfeiffer's sister, and David Cassidy was in it, Anne Francis. I mean, we had all these old
Honey West.
Hollywood type
Before your
people,
time, right?
You know, because it was like a Twin Peaks kind of thing set in Laurel Canyon. And the Coyote restaurant was the locus of it. It was for years. Cynthia Charette had designed a sign for them that they kept for years afterwards. But one of the main characters was the owner of that restaurant. And
Well, she had a detective agency also down below. That was the Honey West character, right?
yes,
Mind Ripper was originally called The Outpost, which I thought was much better title.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Mind Ripper was
Then Jonathan Craven went
a
on to
little
do the
obvious.
album.
Sorry,
He stole the title.
it was great fun to score. Ghastly things took place. Toenails being ripped out and arms being pulled off. There's one scene where somebody had an injection. I hate needles. And I'd be screaming like this. I can't look at that. So, but yeah.
I will say, prior to New Nightmare, I was a big fan of many of the scores you did in the later 80s. J. Peter was involved in a lot of great horror scores like The Believers and The Gate, and a personal favorite of mine, Return of the Living Dead Part 2. And
It just come out on Blu-ray.
right, that one finally came out with your score back on intact because it for some time it disappeared.
It appeared on DVD. It appeared on DVD with some score by some Russian bloke.
Yeah, up until the new release, I've still been watching my VHS just because I had your score.
I complained. I got a phone call saying you must not complain about score. we have special score. We must not complain.
But I love the humor. Like, you had a lot of humor in your horror scores in the 80s.
It was great fun. It was great fun.
New Nightmare, though, really was a turn, though, because it is so much more serious and grand, and I've always just appreciated it.
It was. I mean, we had a big orchestra for some of the scenes, particularly the nightmare sequences and the reality sequences, which Wes had a camera on a bungee cord, wandering around. That was all electronic. So I mean, there was a meld of electronic and orchestral that kind of, actually, when I listened to it, it's kind of sounded the same. I mean, there was no differentiation, but there are little tableau differences. But it was a big challenge, and I think it was one of the longest end credits in history. It was 9.5 minutes because there is no beginning. There is no end. Beginning credits. It's just the film starts, and so when you get to the end, there's endless names. Somebody's dog appears. And I remember Wes had a big run-in with the DGA over a scene where we see the script.
This was very interesting.
And the DGA said, you can't say the script before your name appears on the credits.
I went with him to the DGA to argue the case to get an exception, because the rule is that the director, when you have end credits, the director's credit has to be first. And on screen, you see the script and you see the title page and it says a film script by Wes Craven, and they considered that a writer's credit coming before the director, and they were going to make him cut that image, and he went to them saying, I am the director, I'm a member of this guild, this is what I want, this is my cut, that's not a writing credit.
It's utterly stupid.
It's a prop in the movie that had features my name. And it was really touch and go. It was interesting. It was at the DGA. I remember the board meeting where he was arguing for it.
Well, thanks for fighting for that, because that is so crucial to.
I know.
To
I don't know if anybody remembers A Vampire in Brooklyn, where there's a dog by the waterside, and Eddie Murphy goes, and the dog goes, whoosh, ends up in the water. And at the end credits, there was Wes wanted no animals were harmed in the making of this film, except the dog who was killed outright. So they said, no, you can't have that. It was very disappointing, with no sense of humour. I thought it was funny. Strange sense of humour.
So this is a film where pretty much everybody, all the characters in it, are playing themselves. I imagine a lot of us have seen this film. Now I'm curious, for all of you, starting with you, Marianne, are you in this movie, New Nightmare, and where can we spot you?
Well, yes, I.
You and I are right together. I'm chatting, aren't you, right at the beginning?
Right, I think the first 10 or 15 minutes I played myself.
Oh my god.
Can't miss me.
Okay, are you on
Hopefully
the?
you'll still recognize me.
Are you on the
Right
set
at the
of
beginning, so
the?
camera shot.
I'm on the set, I'm
When am I
on
going
a
to
huge
get
cell
paid?
phone. Sorry?
I was saying, when am I going to get paid? You say, forget it.
Exactly.
There's a scene, where the hand goes crazy, and you
Okay,
pull
that's right,
back
at the
from the
beginning.
movie,
Yeah,
and you
that's right,
see
before
the
that.
people behind the scenes, and she's.
But I think the cell phone is like this big.
Oh, I love the early
I was
early
on, I
cell
think I
phones in
did.
Wes's movies. They're
Yeah.
always incredibly huge, but they get smaller through time.
I think I said hello, I don't remember.
How about you, Jeffrey? Where can we spot you in New Nightmare?
Well, there was a picture on the board out there. I'm one of the Freddies on the highway, but you'll never spot me. I don't even know which one is me when I look at it, because there's about 15 of us. But I'm also in the audience when Robert's at the talk show. There is a shot of me in there, and I'm lugging buckets for Chase, Heather's husband, who's like a behind-the-scenes effects person. And there's a shot of him in his effects truck, and I'm like lugging buckets on the set.
And then for you, J. Peter, we see you at the beginning.
Do we?
I think I'm checking out, just chatting to you. Yeah.
Oh, is he the same as you? I didn't even remember
We'll see.
that.
Okay. Well, if you're not, I will say that on the commentary on the DVD, Wes does talk about you in particular.
Nothing good, I think.
It's all good. But check it out. So you are there at least in the commentary with him,
Oh, there
just
we go.
giving you some
But you
accolades.
do actually see me there.
Okay.
I'll also have to say, I was going to tell the story earlier, but you could tell me if it's true, but there's a great sting on it was the first single card credit I ever got. And it's got this great music sting, and I remember thanking you for it. You said, well, Wes changed the cut, and you designed it for your own. And then it slid.
Of course.
So I got your
Put
sting.
yourself together, man.
So now I'd like to open it up to some audience questions. Right here.
This poor place is asleep here, look. He wants to see the movie.
This is for Monsieur J. Peter Robinson. Did you have any interactions with Charles Bernstein because you were working with his theme in the score? Did you meet with him at all, or?
Did I?
Bernstein's original theme that was incorporated.
Oh yeah, no, I thought it was very important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's like having a James Bond film without the James Bond theme. I mean, that would be idiotic. So I spoke to Charlie Bernstein, and he said, go ahead. I mean, there are moments where I'm playing it backwards in the low strings, where the little kid, what's his, Miko. Sorry, Miko. So it's all. I'm actually doing a mirror form of it, all backwards against other things. So yeah, it appears, so you can hear it, and there are places where it's a little subliminal. I think.
Thank you.
All right, more hand right there.
Okay, so I grew up appreciating this film a little bit more as an adult, like growing up with the Scream movies on VHS as a kid. And obviously, with the passing of Wes, he was amazing. My question is actually to Marianne. I grew up listening to the rumor that obviously Scream 2 was being written as it was wrote, as it was being shot. And there was originally different killers. There were 3 killers that were different. And now that the Weinsteins have crashed and burned, I'm wondering if when everyone died in Scream 2, according to Kevin, when they had to rewrite it and reshoot it and everything, what's the real story behind that? Because Derek was originally a killer, Hallie, and they reshot it. So, who do you think the Weinsteins leaked the script to, make sure they had a franchise in 4 films?
No, I think it's just, we just had to find anything that worked. I mean, I know we kind of said that, it got leaked, so we had to change it, but really, I think it was just, we didn't know. And, the first screenplay, of course, existed, it was perfect, and then the second one, they greenlit before the script was done. So we just kept shooting and finding the ending. But there were we had multiple endings. But I think it was not because the script was leaked.
You thought it would have been a bad move to kill, like everyone, including Cindy?
Yeah. Yeah, we wouldn't have to screen 3 to 4.
Yeah.
All right, can I see a hand over here?
Marianne mentioned earlier that Bob Shea was very eager to have another Wes Craven directed Nightmare around the time that this project was being developed. How did Bob feel about finding out that he was going to be a character in the movie? Could you talk a little about his shooting days?
Well, everybody was thrilled, right? I mean, Sarah Risher, Michael Luca.
And their assistants are really their assistants.
Yeah, they were thrilled, but then on this set, it was difficult, but he, Bob Shea was thrilled to be part of it, and
days of shooting were his scenes. They were on Saturday and Sunday because it was really New Line's working offices, and we took them over. And I do think, I don't know if it was really calculated this way or if it was a happy accident, but he really left us alone because I think he was
So freaked out.
he was very, the power really shifted in Wes's favor when Wes had to direct him, you know, and he was like, how do I look, and is it okay, and, like, he really didn't want anything to do with us after that, I think.
And they, and the two of them had a real kind of rivalry. So it was difficult getting to that point. So to have Wes, it was fun because Wes directed Bob, and then when Wes was acting, I directed Wes. And it was fun. It was fun like that. But then Wes always looked like he was laughing. So I should say, Wes, what do you, you're smiling and you're laughing. That was fun to direct Wes.
All right. See hand there back there.
Okay, this question is for J. Peter Robinson. Okay, when I was a kid growing up in the 1980s, the Gate. Okay, now the Gate. I've been dying to know because like I've been trying to find the soundtrack forever. I know like the actual like soundtrack like with the original music from the film like doesn't exist. I just want to know since you were involved in the Gate. Do you know where I can find a bootleg?
I think in the works there are there's movements to bring out the soundtrack of the Gate.
Okay,
And I actually thought when they did the Blu-ray they were going to do the score as a isolated track, but they never did, like they didn't do with Return of the Living Dead Part 2. But Michael Honig, who also shared the composing credits with me on the Gate and the Wraith, we are looking at doing a deal, I think, with Marianne Records to bring those out early in the next year. So, check.
That's great, though. That's an excellent score. I can't wait to own that one.
I cannot wait either.
See hand there?
I was wondering if any of you have had any nightmares featuring Freddy while working on the film or after.
I think that's for any of you. Any Freddy nightmares while making this Elm Street?
I was too worried I didn't sleep.
If you like.
I can't honestly say that I did. Should I make one up? There were plenty of nightmares, but I can't say they involved Freddy.
I think a
Usually
film
they're
production
worse
like
stress
this
for me.
is just a nightmare on its own.
And we're going to finish it in time.
Yeah, that's what they all are, yeah.
It's a different kind of nightmare, I think.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes.
Were there any scenes excised from the film that were shot that you can remember?
He's got the memory. Remember it?
Not significant. I mean, it was, there were things added. We had a lot of budget. There was a whole big debate, like we would write major sequences and then it was budgeted.
There's a big negotiation about set pieces. Bob always wanted to cut down our set pieces, or if we had 6 set pieces, then we could only have 3 set pieces. And we budget each set piece. And then we'd go from there and take it away.
And it is true that we came back, like it ended in January of '94, about like the 3rd week of January, and then at the end of April, we had a reshoot where we enhanced several sequences, but most significantly the finale. But it was really designed to, like Wes wrote it, I have to, you've seen it. You won't find it in this script because it was added later, but it was, he wrote it to the cut. Like he wrote really a detailed shot list script that was designed to cut from this moment to Freddy pulls Heather into an antechamber and then all this stuff happens, and then they fall back into, it was really just designed to beef it all up.
But you remember, I talked about this at the last time, but when we were shooting and the Northridge earthquake hit, I think it hit about 4 in the morning, and we were shooting in Freddy's Lair. Freddy's Lair was built out in Glendale. So we all were pretty okay. Mark Irwin lost his house. His
He
condo.
lived with Wes for the last couple of weeks of the shoot.
Yeah.
He moved in with Wes.
And Nick, the first AD, had to escape by ladder and help a lady down out of his condo. And it was a disaster. People were homeless. It was awful. And me, Wes, and maybe it was, who would have been, Jay Roy or something? We drove to Glendale to see that day. Even though, you know, a lot of damage had happened at our house, we had to drive out to see if the set lived, and it did. And then New Line called us, either it was that day or the next day, and they said, we want you guys to shoot tomorrow. Maybe it was the day of the earthquake. We said, we can't, you know, our DP is homeless, and, you know, our AD doesn't have a home, he's homeless, and they said, we don't care, replace them. And it was a woman, Deborah Owens, who was the head of physical production at New Line. And we said, you know what? Because it was a non-union movie, so it was about maybe 10,000 a day that they were gonna lose. We said, shut us down. We're not gonna shoot until everyone has a home. And it was a big fight, and we just said, shut us down. And they said, okay, you know, you can have 2 extra days. But it was tough. It was tough. I mean, over 90 something people died in the earthquake. And, but that was a nightmare. But luckily Freddy's lair was fine.
See, being the composer, I miss all this. I just come in at the end, but it's all finished and all cut, and they go, get it put in. And then like all these dramas, I mean, not the earthquake obviously, because that was generally, but
But you didn't know that
you know,
we had to drive out to Freddy's lair.
yeah, I mean, when I hear stories of films that I've scored, I go, thank God I come in at the end.
Yeah, I remember our assistant editor, Peter Giovanni, he was also in an apartment that collapsed. He had to crawl out of, the roof caved in.
We had a couple little things like that.
Well, it definitely all adds to just the intensity of the film again, and being here in Los Angeles, where we do have to deal with these natural disasters on a regular basis.
And here we are today, right? And
With
Heather
Heather
can't make it
Right now,
because of
and
the
so
fire. Yeah.
it feels even more intense right now
Yes.
that we have possibly hundreds of people dead and people who've lost their homes. And again, it just gives this film so much more weight. So again, when you're watching this movie and you see Heather driving through the Malibu hills, which are burned, it's just amazing to know what's happening now. And
Yeah, I think in her neighborhood, 5 houses survived. You know, she has a picture from her house that is just devastation. And her father-in-law, Lance Anderson, he lives up there. I don't know exactly. I think he's like 10 minutes from that. He is probably maybe 78 or so. He had a pump and a hose. He saved his house alone. Just Lance Anderson. He himself, put out all the fires, and his house was threatened, and he saved his house.
wow.
So they're really going through a lot there.
Well, we appreciate all of you coming out here in LA on a rough time to see this movie, which is, in my opinion, absolutely one of the best horror films of the 1990s.
Yeah.
If ever, again, this is a film that has as many intellectual thrills as visceral thrills. It's just, there's nothing quite like this movie. We want to get started in just a moment, but we'll take one more question. If there's any, I see a hand back there.
So maybe all of you, what would be your favorite Wes Craven film? What kind of movie you sit down and just want to watch?
Your favorite Wes Craven film for each of you up here.
Yeah.
She might say that, actually.
I would probably, Wes Craven film was one he wrote. I think it would be this one. Or what Wes wrote, yeah, definitely.
From the ones he wrote, yeah.
Of the ones he wrote, yeah.
Yeah, indeed,
Yes.
indeed.
And people under the stairs, it's also pretty darn good.
Yes, keep it upstairs.
So play the movie.
Yes.
Play the movie. Thanks for
Start the
coming.
movie now. I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank our special guest, Marianne, representative J.P. Robertson, for giving us these stories tonight. Join us next year again for Shriekfest Presents Alien on January 11th. And believe me, we're going to be trying to get more Wes Craven films into the Nuart. We'll try and get Heather back with the original Nightmare on Elm Street. And Wes Craven still remains my favorite director. There are so many more films of his that I'm working on now to get here at the Nuart. I hope you will come back and join us for them. And now give us a moment and we will start Wes Craven's New Nightmare on 35.